Alexandra, so many emotions right now. First of all, no one wants to have to play against an injured player. I am sure your heart is breaking for Coco right now.
Yes. First and foremost, I want to say Happy Women's Day, everybody. Bear with me because I have a lot to say. I want to say thank you to all the incredible women who have paved the way and who have advocated for themselves and for other women. Among them is Coco. So thank you, Coco, for being an amazing competitor and amazing role model. And I really hope that everything is well and you will recover soon.
Stop absolutely everything you are doing right now. Do not scroll past this. Do not swipe away. Cancel your meetings. Put your phone on airplane mode. Lock your door. Close your blinds. And turn the volume on your speakers all the way up until the bass is literally shaking your floorboards. I need your absolute, undivided, unblinking attention for the next few minutes. Because the unthinkable has just happened. The prophecy that the mainstream sports media laughed at, the warning that the established tennis hierarchy tried desperately to bury has just materialized in the most violent, humiliating, and earth-shattering way imaginable. We told you yesterday that Alex Eala was stepping onto court one not as a participant, but as a hunter. We told you that Coco Gauff, the American golden child, the reigning U.S. Open champion, the #4 player in the entire world, was completely and utterly unprepared for the psychological warfare that was about to hit her. But I am going to be completely honest with you right now. Even I, with all the insider information, with all the locker room whispers, did not predict it would be this brutal. Even I did not predict a total catastrophic systemic collapse of this magnitude. What you are looking at on this screen right now is not a tennis scorecard. It is a certified obituary for the old guard of the Women's Tennis Association. It is the definitive, undisputed, undeniable end of an era. The commentators on television right now are in a state of absolute paralyzed shock. The American broadcasters are stuttering. They are stammering. And they are desperately reading off cue cards, sweating under the studio lights, trying to spin a completely fabricated narrative to protect their billion-dollar superstar. They are throwing out safe corporate words like fatigue, minor tweak, unfortunate circumstances, and precautionary measures. They are lying to your face. They are lying to the entire world because the truth is too terrifying for their sponsors to swallow. I need you to look at the very top right corner of this graphic. Look at those 3 French words glowing in the dark, exposing the absolute unvarnished truth that the media is terrified to say out loud on national television. Victoire par forfait, victory by forfeit, victory by retirement. Coco Gauff, the absolute undisputed face of American tennis, playing on her home soil under the massive lights of one of the biggest, most prestigious tournaments on the entire planet, literally quit. She surrendered. She waved the white flag, walked to the umpire's chair, packed her bags, and completely abandoned the match. While down 6-2 and 2-0 in the second set, she did not just lose a tennis match to Alex Eala. She was so thoroughly, utterly, and psychologically broken. Her spirit was so completely crushed into dust that she chose to flee the court in front of thousands of her own fans rather than spend one more agonizing, humiliating minute locked inside that cage with the absolute monster that the Rafael Nadal Academy has unleashed upon the tour. To truly understand the sheer magnitude of the trauma that was inflicted on Court 1 today, we have to tear away the public relations excuses, ignore the press release, and dive deep into the cold, unforgiving, terrifying reality of these statistics. Because this box score reads like a psychological horror movie script, let us start with the single most terrifying, mind-bending, physically impossible number ever recorded in the history of a professional tennis match. Look at Alex's percentage of first serves, the metric of consistency, the metric of control, 96%. Let me say that again so it echoes in your mind. 96%. I need you to let that sink into your soul. I need you to understand that this number breaks the fundamental laws of tennis physics. Professional players at the absolute peak of their careers celebrate if they hit 65% of their first serves. If they hit 75%, they are considered to be having the serving day of their absolute lives. They call it being in the zone. But Alex Eala stepped onto the biggest stage of her entire life, staring down the barrel of the number 4 player in the world, facing down an aggressively hostile American crowd that wanted to see her fail. And she executed her service motion with 96% mechanical perfection.
What a nice exchange. That was nice to see.
Very gracious from Coco Gauff.
That almost summarizes International Women's Day right there. What a nice moment. Tough moment for Alex.
She did not hit a single double fault zero. She did not hit a single ace either because she did not need to. Do you understand the sheer arrogance and brilliance of that? She wasn't trying to blow Coco Gauff away with raw, uncontrollable speed. She was performing a clinical surgical agonizing dissection. Eala became a metronome of absolute suffering. Every single time she stepped up to the line, bounced the ball, and tossed it into the stadium lights, Coco Gauff knew exactly what was coming. Gauff knew she was about to receive a perfectly placed, incredibly heavy, unattackable serve loaded with suffocating topspin that forced her to start every single point completely on the defensive. Eala essentially removed the very concept of unforced errors from her own brain. She deleted the idea of making a mistake. She became an unfeeling, unyielding machine programmed for one specific task: the total destruction of Coco Gauff's mental fortitude. Now, I want you to look across the net at the American superstar. Look at what happens to the chosen one. The player who has been handed every advantage, every prime time slot, and every million-dollar endorsement when she is locked in a baseline rally with a player who literally refuses to miss. Coco Gauff buckling under the sheer suffocating crushing weight of Alexandra Eala's perfection completely and totally melted down on international television. Gauff committed 7 double faults. 7 in a match that only lasted 10 total games before she miraculously decided she was too injured to continue. Gauff handed Eala nearly 2 entire games of free points simply because her arm was shaking too violently to toss the ball straight. The pressure was literally cooking her alive on that court. You could see it in her eyes. You could see the panic setting in. You could see her looking up at her coach's box, completely lost, searching for answers that did not exist. But the nightmare gets so much worse. If you think the double faults are bad, I need you to look at the statistic that proves Alex Eala is the greatest tactical genius of her generation. Look at the win percentage on the first serve for Coco Gauff. Gauff actually managed to land 83% of her first serves. That is an incredible number for her. Historically, if Coco Gauff lands 83% of her first serves, she completely blows her opponent off the court. She wins the match in straight sets, without breaking a single drop of sweat. Her first serve is supposed to be a lethal weapon. But look at what happened when those serves actually landed inside the box. Coco Gauff only won 34% of those points. 34%. Do you understand the absolute soul-crushing humiliation of that specific statistic? It means that Coco Gauff was hitting her absolute best, fastest, most powerful 120 miles per hour first serves. She was throwing her absolute heaviest artillery. And Alex Eala was standing on the baseline, perfectly balanced, catching those massive serves like they were slow-pitch softballs, absorbing all of that American power and violently ripping them right back at Gauff's feet for clean, unquestionable winners. Eala was showing a level of disrespect so profound, so deep that it shattered Coco Gauff's entire tennis identity into a million unfixable pieces. Gauff's greatest, most relied upon weapon was completely and utterly neutralized. She was throwing fastballs at a titanium brick wall, and the wall was hitting them back twice as hard. Eala won 25 receiving points in just 10 games. Think about the math on that. She was living inside Coco Gauff's service games. She was reading Gauff's mind. She knew where the serve was going before Gauff even finished her follow-through. Eala was returning the ball with such aggressive punishing depth that Gauff was constantly scrambling backward, constantly off balance, constantly fighting just to keep the ball in play. And then there's the run, the apocalyptic, devastating run that finally broke the spirit of the American champion and forced the surrender. Look at the maximum consecutive games won. Coco Gauff, the #4 seed in the world, managed to win exactly one game at a time. Her maximum consecutive games won was one. She could never string two together. She could never build an ounce of momentum. She could never get the crowd involved. But Alex Eala, she strung together an apocalyptic, terrifying run of 7 consecutive games, 7 straight games against the reigning U.S. Open champion. Eala was down 2-0. In the very beginning of the first set, Gauff came out firing, trying to assert her dominance, trying to bully the 31st seed. Eala simply absorbed the initial blow, figured out Gauff's timing, downloaded her entire game plan, and then simply refused to let Gauff win another single game for the entire rest of the night. I need you to close your eyes and imagine the suffocating pitch-black darkness of being Coco Gauff in that specific moment. You lose your serve to go down 3-2. You tell yourself it is fine. Then you lose the next game. It is 4-2. The crowd goes dead silent. The nervous murmurs start spreading through the stadium. You step up to serve again. Your arm feels like it weighs 100 pounds. You double fault. And suddenly it is 5-2. You try to hit harder. You try to scream. You try to pump yourself up. But every single time you hit the ball with maximum effort, Alex Eala steps inside the baseline and crushes it past you with a terrifying, emotionless expression on her face. You are the U.S. Open champion. You are the player on all the billboards outside the stadium. You are supposed to be the undisputed queen of the hard court, the heir to Serena Williams. And you are currently on a 7-game losing streak to a 31st-seeded qualifier from the Philippines who is landing 96% of her first serves and looking at you like you are nothing more than a minor, irritating inconvenience on her path to the trophy. That is exactly why the forfeit happened. That is why the white flag was raised. The media will spend the next week telling you that Gauff felt a sudden tweak in her ankle. They will tell you she had a stomach bug, or she felt a sudden sharp pain in her shoulder, or she was dealing with extreme dehydration. They will parade medical experts on television to talk about injury prevention, but the locker room knows the absolute truth. The veteran players watching the monitors in the players' lounge know the truth. The elite sports psychologists watching this match from the stands know the truth. You do not forfeit a match of this unbelievable magnitude in front of your home sponsors, in front of your home fans at the biggest tournament outside of a Grand Slam unless your mental resolve has been completely, irreparably evaporated. Coco Gauff looked across the net at the start of the second set. She saw Alex Eala standing there completely unbothered. Eala wasn't even sweating heavily. She was breathing easily. She was bouncing the ball, preparing to land another 96% of her serves, preparing to lock Gauff into another 30-shot rally of pure torture. And Coco Gauff's central nervous system essentially pulled the emergency fire alarm. Gauff realized in a moment of terrifying clarity that if she stayed on that court for another set, she wasn't just going to lose a tennis match. She was going to be publicly, historically humiliated. She was staring down the barrel of a 6-2, 6-0 scoreline that would be permanently burned into the history books. It would permanently ruin her aura of invincibility. The sponsors would panic. The narrative would collapse. So, she pulled the absolute final ripcord. She escaped. She chose the coward's way out. She chose a medical forfeit over a tennis execution. She decided it was better to have people question her health than to have the entire world definitively realize that Alexandra Eala is simply a vastly superior tennis player. The fallout from this event in the WTA locker room right now is absolutely nuclear. It is a level 5 hazard zone. The group chats are on fire. The veterans who were desperately begging Coco Gauff to stop Eala yesterday are now staring directly into the abyss. Their champion has fallen. Their absolute final line of defense, the billion-dollar American prodigy, did not just get breached. She completely collapsed without putting up a fight. She quit. Think about what this means for the rest of the tour. The Rafael Nadal Academy has officially produced the ultimate unstoppable weapon. For years, the WTA Tour has been dominated by pure, unadulterated aggressive power. Players just trying to hit the ball as hard as humanly possible. But Alexi just took the absolute best power tennis the American establishment had to offer. She absorbed it, she processed it, and she returned it with such ruthless, unyielding mechanical consistency that it forced a Grand Slam champion into an emotional submission. There are no more excuses left for the media to use. There are no more fabricated narratives about her being too young or lacking experience or just being a lucky qualifier riding a hot streak. Alexandra Eala has officially undeniably conquered the tennis world. She is the apex predator. She is the legendary psychotic mental fortitude of Rafael Nadal flowing directly through her veins. She has the absolute unwavering, deafening, fanatical support of the entire Philippine nation standing right behind her baseline, screaming for blood. And she has a level of mechanical serving perfection that the professional tour has literally never seen before in the history of the sport. The establishment is officially dead. The old guard has been violently overthrown. The era of the American media dictating who gets to be a superstar is over. The crown has been taken by force. Long live the new queen of the WTA. I need you to completely flood the comment section of this video right now. I need the Eala army to mobilize and make their voices heard so loudly, so aggressively that the sports media cannot possibly ignore the truth anymore. I want you to share this video everywhere. What is your reaction to that literally impossible 96% first serve statistic? Do you believe for one single second the mainstream media's pathetic excuse for Coco Gauff's sudden forfeit? Or do you agree with the absolute truth that Alex Eala completely broke her spirit during that terrifying 7-game run? Who on earth is left on this entire professional tour that can possibly stop our girl now? Is there anyone? Drop your wildest celebrations, your deepest tactical analysis, your loudest cheers, and your absolute boldest predictions for her championship run in the comments below. The revolution is here and Alexandra Eala is leading the charge. Let's go.